Hey everybody, this is Chris, formerly known as Christo, and I'm going to read off of realpharmacy.com. That's realpharmacy.com. Quotes from an Oglala Lakota chief. I'm assuming I'm saying that correctly. Realpharmacy.com is not my website. I'm just giving them credit, even though these quotes probably appear somewhere else as well. But here we go. Luther Standing Bear was an Oglala Lakota Sioux chief who, among a few rare others, such as Charles Eastman, Black Elk, and Gertrude Bonin, occupied the rift between the Valley of Life of the indigenous people of the Great Plains before and during the arrival and subsequent spread of the European pioneers. Pioneers. That's what they call people that take over other people's land. Raised in the traditions of his people until the age of 11, he was then educated at the Oglala Indian Industrial Boarding School of Pennsylvania, and I'm adding this myself, aka government indoctrination, where he learned the English language and way of life. Great one. Though a National Historic Landmark, Carlisle remains a place of controversy in Native circles. Of course it does. They stole their kids from him. Like his above-mentioned contemporaries, however, his Native roots were deep, leaving him in the unique position of being a conduit between cultures. Though his movement through the white man's world was not without success, he had numerous movie roles in Hollywood. His enduring legacy was the protection of the way of life of his people. By the time of his death, he had published 4 books and had become a leader at the forefront of the progressive movement aimed at preserving Native American heritage and sovereignty, coming to be known as a strong voice in the education of the white man as to the Native American way of life. Here, then, are 10 quotes from the great Sioux Indian chief known as Standing Bear that will be sure to disturb much of what you think you know about modern culture. And just so you guys know, as I read these quotes, I'm trying not to interject my opinion, but it's really tough. I might pepper my opinion in there a little bit, and do your own research, read these quotes yourself if you want to. I'm going to read them and I'll throw in my opinion if it's called for. I'll try to keep that out as much as possible though and just read what this man said. So here we go. 10 quotes from Standing Bear. Number 1. Praise, flattery, exaggerated manners, and fine, high-sounding words were no part of Lakota politeness. Excessive manners were put down as insincere, and the constant talker was considered rude and thoughtless. Conversation was never begun at once or in a hurried manner. Number 2. Children were taught that true politeness was to be defined in actions rather than in words. They were never allowed to pass between the fire and the older person or a visitor, to speak while others were speaking, or to make fun of a crippled or disfigured person. If a child thoughtlessly tried to do so, a parent in a quiet voice immediately set him right. Number 3. Silence was meaningful with the Lakota, and his granting of space of silence before talking was done in the practice of true politeness and regardful of the rule that thought comes before speech. And in the midst of sorrow, sickness, death, or misfortune of any kind, and in the presence of the notable and great, silence was the mark of respect. Strict observance of this tenet of good behavior was the reason, no doubt, for his being given the false characterization by the white man of being a stoic. He has been judged to be dumb, stupid, indifferent, and unfeeling. Number 4. We did not think of the great open plains, the beautiful rolling hills, the winding streams with tangled growth as wild. Only to the white man was nature a wilderness, and only to him was it infested with wild animals and savage people. To us it was tame. Earth was bountiful, and we were surrounded with the blessings of the great mystery. Now I'd like to interject before I go to number 5, the use of the term white man. This is all they saw. I do not believe that in the present day they would only say the white man has this thought process. I think many colors and races would think this way that goes against the Native American lifestyle. So to them at that time, historically, that's all they saw were white people. So that's what they called them. I don't believe it's a racist thing at all. So moving on, number 5. With all creatures of the earth, sky, and water was a real and active principle. In the animal and bird world, there existed a brotherly feeling that kept the Lakota safe among them. And so close did some of the Lakotas come to their feathered and furred friends that in true brotherhood they spoke a common tongue. Number 6. This concept of life and its relations was humanizing and gave to the Lakota an abiding love. It filled his being with the joy and mystery of living. It gave him reverence for all life. It made a place for all things in the scheme of existence with equal importance to all. Number 7. It was good for the skin to touch the earth, and the old people liked to remove their moccasins and walk with bare feet on the sacred earth. The old Indian still sits upon the earth instead of propping himself up and away from its life-giving forces. For him, to sit or lie upon the ground is to be able to think more deeply and to feel more keenly. He can see more clearly into the mysteries of life and come closer in kinship to other lives about him. I will interject here. I agree with this 100%. It doesn't really matter. Their civilization, I'll call it, was definitely more in tune with nature. They knew a lot more than I do about it. But I'm saying that in my more limited experience, I agree 100%. Number 8. Everything was possessed of personality, only differing from us in form. Knowledge was inherent in all things. The world was a library, and its books were the stones, leaves, grass, brooks, and the birds and animals that shared, alike with us, the storms and blessings of earth. We learned to do what only the student of nature learns, and that was to feel beauty. We never railed at the storms, the furious winds, and the biting frosts and snows. To do so intensified human futility, so whatever came, we adjusted ourselves by more effort and energy if necessary, but without complaint. Number 9. The old Lakota was wise. He knew that a man's heart away from nature becomes hard. And I'm going to interject here. Number 9 still has some more to go, but this is our problem right now, right here. Hearts are hard. We have been separated from nature. We've allowed ourselves to be separated from nature by this society, and our hearts have become hard. And it is the root of all of our problems, because we do not love. So going on, he knew that lack of respect for growing, living things soon led to a lack of respect for humans, too. So he kept his children close to nature's softening influence. And number 10, a short one, civilization has been thrust upon me, and it has not added one whit to my love for truth, honesty, and generosity. And I'm going to read that one more time. Civilization has been thrust upon me, and it has not added one whit to my love for truth, honesty, and generosity. I think these are great quotes, things to ponder, possibly even hints at how we can change our lives around, because something needs to change. And that concludes this recording. Thank you very much for listening.